And now in Esoteric Cliffnotes, we have the Silva Mind Control Method by José Silva and Philip Yell. All right, we'll just skip the intro and go into chapter 1. Start with chapter 1. Chapter 1, using more of your mind in special ways. Mind control lectures speak of entering the state as going to your level, or sometimes going into alpha. And this is kind of a more, obviously, like kind of subconscious state. One of the first things students hear is, you are learning to use more of your mind and to use it in a special manner. Another thing students are told is, project yourself mentally to your ideal place of relaxation. At these deeper levels, they are pretty much limited to daydreaming, the edges of sleep, or sleep itself, and that's in alpha or theta. But with mind control training, useful possibilities begin to multiply with no end in sight. Chapter 2, Meet José. And so José started out repairing radios, and then, he worked a lot with radios, kind of as an electrician of sorts. And he says, the ideal circuit is the one with the least resistance or impedance, because it makes the greatest use of its electrical energy. And then he mentions teaching his daughter to use mind control method, asking her questions, and then she started reading his mind, plucking the questions out of his mind before he could say them. And he says it takes only 40 to 48 hours, and it is as effective with adults as with children. And that's the course. Another physician, a prominent psychiatrist, advises all his patients to take mind control because it gives them insights that in some cases would require 2 years of therapy to produce. Chapter 3, How to Meditate. Use the 100 to 1 method for 10 mornings, then count only from 50 to 1, 25 to 1, then 10 to 1, and finally 5 to 1, 10 mornings each. So this is counting down to your lower levels of alpha, then theta. A note from the reader here, if you have a strong meditation practice, like you've been meditating for 10 years, or especially if you're sitting for like 30 minutes each day, from personal experience, you don't necessarily need to go do the counting from 100 to 1. Starting at 50 or 25 will do the trick. So, again, this is from personal experience. So, the method we use in my control is to say mentally, I will slowly come out as I count from 1 to 5, feeling wide awake and better than ever, better than before. 1, 2, prepare to open your eyes. 3, open eyes. 4, 5, eyes open, wide awake, feeling better than before. Chapter 4, Dynamic Meditation. So, in this, we're going to connect a real event with a desirable one that you imagine and see what becomes of the imaginary one. If you operate according to some simple laws, the imaginary event will become real. Law 1, you must desire that the event take place. Law 2, you must believe the event can take place. Law 3, you must expect the event to take place. Law 4, you cannot create a problem. There are 3 steps to go through once you reach each level. Step 1. On your mental screen, thoroughly recreate a recent event which involved the problem. Step 2. Gently push the scene off the screen to the right. Slide onto the screen another scene that will take place tomorrow. Step 3. Now push the scene off to the screen to the right and replace it with another from the left. The coincidences will pile up. As you gradually increase your skill, you will notice that you will be able to believe and expect events that are less and less probable. In time, with practice, the results you achieve will be more and more astounding. As you work on each problem, begin by briefly reliving your best previous successful experience. When an even better successful experience comes along, drop the earlier one and use the better one as your reference point. This way you will become better and better. Chapter 5, Improving Memory. The more vivid the image and the more important it is to us, the more easily we recall it. So he mentions a method that involves a simple triggering mechanism, which once it becomes really yours, improves effectiveness as you see it. Making it yours will require several meditation sessions to thoroughly internalize the procedure. Here's how simple it is. Just bring together the thumb and the first 2 fingers of either hand, and your mind will instantly adjust to a deeper level. Try it now and nothing will happen. It is not yet a triggering mechanism. To make it one, go to your level and say to yourself, silently or aloud, whenever I join my fingers together like this, now join them. For a serious purpose, I will instantly reach this level of mind to accomplish whatever I desire. And he says to do this whenever you're trying to recall something, to recall dreams or where you left something. Now relax, realize that you remember and that you have a way of triggering recall. Chapter 6, Speed Reading. Oh, Speed Learning. Oof. I guess I'm the one speed reading. The 3 fingers technique, once it is so thoroughly mastered that you can instantly reach your level and operate consciously there, can be used while you listen to a lecture or read a book. So he mentions keeping your fingers that way while studying or in class or taking a course. Chapter 7, Creative Sleep. When we interpret a dream, which we pre-program, in addition to gaining insights into the pathology of our psyches, we find solutions to everyday problems. There are 3 steps to the dream control we teach, all involving a meditation level of mind. The first is to learn to recall our dreams. So he mentions this story about how he was pretty much almost giving up on studying this kind of work. And then he had a dream where he saw some numbers. He bought a lotto ticket with those numbers and he got a bunch of money. And that showed him to continue his work. It was foundation for a solidly based conviction that my studies were worthwhile. Somehow I'd made contact with higher intelligence. Maybe I had made contact with it many times before and not know. This time I knew. Freud said sleep creates favorable conditions for telepathy. To account for my dream, I had to go further and say that sleep creates favorable conditions for receiving information from higher intelligence. Then I went still further and wondered if we had to be like someone waiting passively for the telephone to ring. Could we not dial the number ourselves to communicate with higher intelligence on our own initiative? Surely we can develop a method for reaching higher intelligence. And so to program yourself before going to sleep, this is to review a problem that can be solved with information or advice. Be sure that you really care about solving it. Now program yourself with these words: I want to have a dream that will contain information to solve the problem I have in mind. I will have such a dream, remember it, and understand it. It is in the nature of life that everyone can win much more than lotteries offer. Only you can interpret the dreams you decide to have. Chapter 8, Your Words Have Power. Imagine that you are standing in your kitchen holding a lemon that you have just taken from the refrigerator. It feels cold in your hand. Look at the outside of it, its yellow skin. It is a waxy yellow, and the skin comes to small green points at the two ends. Squeeze it a little and feel its firmness and weight. Now raise the lemon to your nose and smell it. Nothing smells quite like a lemon, does it? Now cut the lemon in half and smell it. The odor is stronger. Now bite deeply into the lemon and let the juice swirl around in your mouth. Nothing tastes quite like a lemon either, does it? At this point, if you have used your imagination well, your mouth will be watering. Let's consider the implications of that. So there's a phrase that he mentions that's somewhat famous: day by day, in every way, I am getting better and better. And he mentions Emile Coué, who taught this to folks for them to cure themselves. And he mentions two basic principles in mind control. One, we can think of only one thing at a time. And two, when we concentrate on a thought, the thought becomes true because our bodies transform it into action. Therefore, if you want to trigger your body's healing process, which may be blocked by negative thoughts, conscious or unconscious, just repeat 20 times in succession. Day by day, in every way, I am getting better and better. And he actually recommends that at alpha and theta levels to say day by day in every way, I'm getting better, better, and better. So 3 times. Negative thoughts, negative suggestions have no influence over me at any level of mind. So he also suggests saying that in theta and alpha. Alpha, theta. Words have special power at deep levels of mind. The mind has much firmer command over the body than it is given credit for. We are always conscious. Chapter 9, Power of Imagination. Once you learn to want that benefit strongly enough, you will become free of the unwanted habit. So just imagining that benefit. So he says, if possible, engage all the 5 senses: sight, touch, taste, smell, and hearing. Imagine how elated and confident you will feel when you're as thin as you want to be. And he says, even the 5 senses are not enough for thorough visualization. Emotions are important too. Chapter 10, using your mind to improve your health. So in self-healing, there are 6 fairly easy steps to take. The first is to begin in beta, to feel yourself becoming a loving and therefore a forgiving person, and to consider love as an end in itself. This will probably require pretty thorough mental clean housing. Second, go to your level, as in the alpha theta level. This alone is a major step towards self-healing because, as I mentioned much earlier, at this level, the negative work of the mind and all its guilt and angers is neutralized, and the body is set free to do what nature designed it to do, repair itself. Third, mentally speak to yourself about step 1. Express your desire to achieve a thorough mental clean housing or house cleaning. To use positive words, to think positively, to become a loving, forgiving person. Fourth, mentally experience the illness that is troubling you. Use the mental screen and see and feel the illness. This should be brief. So, note from the reader here, I didn't even highlight it because I don't want to, no one should dwell on that for even a second. But if it helps people string it together. Fifth, quickly erase this image of your illness and experience yourself as completely cured. Feel the freedom and happiness of being in perfect health. Hold on to this image, linger over it, enjoy it, and know that you deserve it. Know that now, in this healthy state, you are fully in tune with nature's intentions for you. Sixth, reinforce your mental house cleaning once again, and then by saying to yourself, every day, in every way, I am getting better, better, and better. So he says, how long should this take and how often should you do it? He says, my experience is that 15 minutes is about the best length of time. Go through this exercise as often as you can, no less than once a day. There is no too much. To return to self-healing, there is no end to step 1. Practice it in beta, alpha, theta. Live it. If you feel it slipping during the day, put your 3 fingers together for instant reinforcement. And then he mentions all these studies, and one of them was on cancer patients, and he says what tipped the balance was their positive attitudes. Probably the single most valuable tool we have is the mental imagery technique. We ask them to visualize their disease, visualize their treatment, and to visualize the body's immune mechanism. We talk about picturing what we want to come about. Chapter 11, an intimate exercise for lovers. So here's what to do. Select a place where you both feel happiest, most relaxed. It might be a place where you vacation together, any place with especially pleasant memories you share. It can even be a place neither of you have ever seen. You can create it together. Do not, however, select a place where only one of you has been. This will skew the symmetry of the experience and reduce the sense of sharing. Sit comfortably, close, facing each other, relax, and let your eyes close. 3. One of you will say to the other something like this. I'm going to count slowly from 10 to 1, and with each count you will feel yourself going deeper into a pleasant, meditative level of mind. 10, 9, feel going deeper. 8, 7, 6, deeper and deeper. 5, 4, deeper still. 3, 2, 1. You are now relaxed at a deep, pleasant level of mind. With your help, I will join you there. And then step 4, the other will say, I will count slowly from 10 to 1, and with each count, we'll come closer in a deep level of mind. 10, 9, feel going deeper with me. 8, 7, 6, deeper and deeper together. 5, 4, deeper still and closer. 3, 2, 1. We are now both relaxed at a pleasant level of mind. Let us go deeper together. Step 5. The first person will say, all right, let's go very deep together. Let's experience our place of relaxation together. The more we experience this, the deeper we will go. Notice the sky. 6. Yes, it's clear with a few drifting clouds. Each of you will slowly, spontaneously describe the scene you are experiencing together. The temperature, the colors, the sounds, all the pleasant details. Step 7. When you are both at a deep level, no hurry, one of you will say to the other, I want most in life to make you happy, and only then do I want to make myself happy. Step 8. The other will say, and I want most to make you happy, and only then to make myself happy. Step 9. Allow a period, as long as you want, of silent communion, then awaken. For some, this period of silent communion, may be experienced even more deeply by gazing into each other's eyes. It is entirely possible for the experienced meditator to remain at alpha or theta with eyes open. If you are not comfortable with this, do not force it. This is a far more powerful experience than you might imagine from just reading about it here. The very first time you try it, you will be convinced, and with variations you may develop, it may become a permanent part of your lives together. A few words of caution. The beauty of this experience will be completely lost if it is misused. I recommend it only for a man and a woman seeking a deeper, richer, more durable commitment to each other. Many of our graduates report they see their own and others' auras, each as distinctive as a fingerprint. The more frequent the contact, the more durable is the change in the auras. So here he mentions kind of the auras kind of coming together and blending together and affecting each other. So really be careful who you do this with. Well, that's a note from the reader. I think he kind of implies it, but then he says, physical closeness is essential. I recommend double beds. Chapter 12, you can practice ESP. And he calls it effective sensory projection instead of extrasensory whatever. Effective sensory projection. You will be able to enter deep levels of mind and remain fully conscious, and you will be able to visualize things and events almost with the fullness of five senses reality. These are the two gateways to the psychic world. They begin with a simple exercise of visual imagination and a very deep meditation. They project themselves in front of their own homes by imagining they are there. They touch the wall, and then they imagine they've gone through. Inside the wall, they are where they have never been before. So they test their new environment by noting the light, the odors, the temperature, and by knocking on the inside of the wall. The solidity of the materials. Outside the wall again, facing it, then change its color to black, red, green, blue, and violet, then return it to its original color. Next, they hold up a chair, weightless in its dimension, and steady it against the wall as they change its color again. Then they do this with a watermelon, a lemon, an orange, 3 bananas, 3 carrots, and a head of lettuce. the imaginative mind up front where the controls are. So he mentions putting that in front of the logical mind. As the imagination grows even stronger, so do our psychic powers. It is the imaginative mind which holds them. They confidently examine a pet from the outside against their mental screens, with colors changing. Then just as confidently they mentally enter the skull and the living brain. After a few minutes of reconnaissance inside the pet's head, they emerge once again to examine him from the outside, this time focusing on the chest. When they will work with humans, however, there is a preparatory work to do beforehand. So he kind of mentions doing this with, just a note from the reader, he first mentions doing this with inanimate objects, starting with something you're familiar with, like your home, then kind of living things like plants and trees, and then like animals and pets, and then people. So he says to understand the next step it is necessary to point out again how far our psychic sensing apparatus is from language and logic, how close it is to images and symbols. The next step is to equip the laboratory with instruments for physically correcting abnormalities detected in humans will be examined the following day. So he puts instruments in quotations. Most of these instruments are like nothing you have seen in any laboratory. They are highly instrumental symbols, symbolic instruments, if you will. Lotions for fast healing, baths for washing away guilt. Every student makes up his own armamentarium. No two sets of tools are exactly alike. As the student works with these tools, he may have need of some wise counsel to help in perplexing moments, an inner, still, small voice for the mind control student, though it is not a small voice, but a strong one, not one, but two. In his laboratory, he evokes two counselors, a man and a woman. He is told before he begins his meditative session that he will do this, and if he is like most other students, he will have a pretty firm idea of whom he wants as counselors. Rarely does he get his wish, almost never is he disappointed. So he mentions kind of an exercise where somebody writes on a card the name of a person he knows, his age, his general whereabouts, and the description of some major physical affliction. The psychic operator, sometimes with the help of his psychoorientologist, goes to this level, probably for the first and last time, with shaky confidence in which is he about to do. At his level, in his laboratory, in the presence of his counselors, the psychoorientologist tells him the name, age, sex, location of the person whose name is on the card. The psychic operator's job is to find out what is wrong with this person he has never met and never heard of until this moment. He examines this person's body, inside and out, in the orderly way his imagination has been trained to do, consulting with his counselors when necessary, perhaps speaking to the person himself. While scanning the body in this manner, allow your imagination to select 3 areas of greatest attraction. Maintain the rate of scanning at once a second, and mention to me the areas of attraction as they come to you. Review your feeling and use this as a point of reference next time you work at a case. Keep talking even if you feel you are guessing. He is imagining and learning to trust the first thing that comes to mind. This is his psychic gift coming through. A few hours later, with 8 or 9 other good cases under his belt, he will be a mind control graduate. Often what appear to be misses turn out to be hits on the wrong target, so a relative or something like that, or an old injury, or a more recent injury. The psychic energy which people send out is strongest when their survival is at stake. So note from the reader here, that means somebody who is like in huge distress, and it could be like physical distress, like they have some ailment, or also even like psychological distress, because the body doesn't really know the difference. So if somebody has like high anxiety or is depressed or something like that, or is suicidal, even if they don't have any physical ailments, anybody in distress is gonna be easier to pick up on. The graduate who consciously practices his casework learns to pick up weaker and weaker psychic signals until one day he is able psychically to connect with anyone he has in mind, whether or not the person is in trouble. With practice, we become more and more sensitive. Chapter 13, Form Your Own Practice Group. I didn't highlight anything in there because I honestly don't see anybody that's in my personal circle that would do that. Chapter 14, How to Help Others with Mind Control. Notice that in our folklore, when we make a wish with a wishbone, or when we see a star fall, or when we blow out birthday candles, we are admonished to not reveal our wish. The secrecy is probably more than mere child's play. When Christ said after one of his healings, "See that no man know it," he has no asking for a cover-up. His reasons were deeper. He says that, sharing it kind of dissipates the power of the energy. So that means in terms of your intentions and also any healings that you do. So, chapter 15, more speculations. The best definition I've ever heard of reality is that it is the one dream we all share. And then he notes and or suggests, once I began facing south, I felt better oriented in time and could move around in it more easily. Chapter 16, a checklist. So this is a checklist of all of the steps or methods in his mind control method. So 1, how to learn to meditate in the morning. 2, how to leave your meditation level. 3, how to meditate at any time of day. 4, the first step in visualization, your mental screen. So any time of day, that one is really about the finger method or any other method to kind of get there quickly once it's been programmed in. 5, the step in dynamic meditation. So this is kind of the moving mental screen. 6, how to solve problems with meditation. 7, how to use the 3 fingers technique for instant recall. 8, steps toward speed learning. 9, how to remember your dreams. 10, how to dream solutions to problems. 11, how do you rid yourself of unwanted habits. 12, how to function psychically. 13, how to do psychic healing. 14, how to heal yourself. 15, how to improve your marriage. Chapter 17, a psychiatrist works with mind control. Psychiatrist, gosh. I mean, nothing much new here. It's just more scientific proof if anybody's interested in it. And he mentions a psychiatrist that taught or suggested their patient to use controlled dreams. Her dream turned out to be an amazingly creative one which solved her problem overnight. Her dream led her to understand this for the first time. Yeah, that she was confusing two different realities, which is usually what trauma is anyway. All right, he also has some kind of exercises in here to point out what kind of which parts of the body are like two cases where it's two different people um, with different with their own issues, and you're supposed to kind of scan the body and do all that stuff. So, a note from the reader here: I did the exercise, and again, it's two different people, two different women in their early 20s. And for one, I noticed something in the lungs, like asthma, and the other one, I noticed something in the heart. They both turned out to have the same issue, but I don't remember what it was. But the lungs and the heart are kind of coupled together. So if you look at traditional Chinese medicine, um, I mean, yeah, they're very much tightly coupled. So, um, yeah, just a thought there. So, and this is just the first time after, from reading this book. I'm sure with more time, I've gotten better at it. But so interesting stuff. Chapter 18, your self-esteem will soar. I don't think I highlighted anything in here because, like, yeah, once you realize that you're a powerful creature, powerful being, and you can do all of these amazing things, yeah, of course your self-esteem is going to go up. Chapter 19, mind control in the business world. You feel luckier because you are luckier, because you're able to make things come about, really. I didn't highlight anything in here. Chapter 20, where do we go from here? Dream control reinforces your ability with the mental screen. The mental screen makes dream control more reliable and vivid. The course and Jose's chapters here are all of a piece. The whole is much greater than the parts. So from the reader here, like he pretty much saying like, don't try to just take a technique and run with it and not do the rest of it because it all fits together. And yeah, okay. He says, the more you practice mind control, the stronger this hunch becomes until it becomes a firm certainty. It is this depth of experience that awaits you, the firm certainty that there is a benign purpose behind everything. In mind control, this becomes not as a mystical flash after years of life-renouncing meditation, but quite soon out of the daily business of living more effectively from the everyday details of life as well as its destiny-shaping events. We're all therefore directors of research. And then he closes the book with this beautiful quote from William Blake. To see the world in a grain of sand, and heaven in a wild flower, hold infinity in the palm of your hand, and eternity in an hour. And then he has a couple appendices in here. The first is Appendix 1, the mind control course and the organization behind it. And it's essentially just like a schedule for the day, I guess, if you want to do it yourself. But, I mean, and then Appendix 2 is Silva mind control and psychiatric patients, psychiatric patients. So this is like studies, just the science behind it all, just to prove that it works. And that's it. Some final thoughts from the reader. I Once upon reading this, I realized that Marissa Peer has a lot of these same techniques in her work. Maybe not philosophically. She doesn't like repeat a lot of the things, though there's definitely some overlap, but it's not like it's like a copy paste thing when it comes to the philosophy or the belief behind it. But in terms of the application, the tangible application, the technique, um, I see a lot of commonality with the actual exercises and techniques that are outlined in this book, but not from like a personal perspective, but in terms of like a hypnotherapy perspective. So instead of applying it to yourself, applying it to others. So, um, but I would say this definitely goes deeper and more to the root of some of the techniques that Marissa Peer has outlined. Um, and um, so it's not like if you've read Marissa Peer's work that nothing new will come through here. I would say, if anything, it feels like you're getting more to the core of it, though she's found beautiful ways to really make it tangible for people. Because for some people, this might be a little bit too woo-woo, though he has proven that it works, and the guy's from Texas. So um, I would say I would strongly recommend this book for people who have really gobbled up everything that Marissa Peer has put out and Joe Dispenza has put out, um, because I think this is really distilled. Like, this is just one book instead of reading, like, what, five of their books each. Um, and they're all kind of saying the same thing in different ways. So it's just kind of another angle to really reinforce this understanding for yourself. I was looking forward to reading this book for a while. Um, but I think it just begins with this book. You really have to practice the exercises. I would say it's worth getting this book at the very least, just to so you can see the exercises. Um, but it's essentially just moving visualization, um, the programming of the fingers or whatever gesture for meditation. But again, if you have a meditation practice already, this will be a lot faster, because this essentially is teaching people to meditate and then after that enter those states. Um, but I think it's also just about believing in yourself, because if you can teach somebody to meditate and have those, tap into those psychic abilities within 2 days, 48 hours, then anybody who has a decent meditation practice um, should be able to benefit from this book. Yeah, definitely a top read.